This video was brought to you by Stormberg, ABRP Planner, MisterGreen, Kempower and Marcus Bil. We are now at Ioniq Dal, and finally behind me here you see the Opel Corsa-e. You guys have been waiting for this for a long time, and finally we're going to do range test. We will check how far it can go in a single charge, but there is no need to do a full test because we already know how big the battery is. So yeah, this one also comes with the racing stripes. So what I'm going to do is do the high-speed test first, because it's middle of the day, less traffic, less left lane huggers, and then we come back here and then we measure the low-speed test. So I can show you briefly what it looks like. Oh, I've been testing some other stuff the day before. Yeah, here you see. Ooh, red stripe there. We have, wait, huh? Is this supposed to be like that? Is that panel gap? Nah, it's within specification, nothing to see. Okay, but this car doesn't show you state of charge, percentage, whatever. We will just reset the trip and then we will drive north, not too far, maybe to Espa somewhere, and then back again. And then we see the consumption. And here we have the drive mode selector. And as always, every time I test range, I will try to use eco mode, unless it gives me some weird setting like very stingy on the heater or something, but I will always try to use eco mode. And if you pay attention to the other videos, many times when we have eco mode, it will say eco somewhere in the instrument cluster here. So yes, eco, and usually around 21 degrees Celsius, sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a bit lower, but that's around about there. Okay, we're on the move now in the high speed test. We have to cruise 122 on the speedo. Consumption right now is 198, but we have a little bit of tailwind and downhill. So temperature outside is 18 degrees Celsius. Yeah, and you know, people have been mentioning that Corsa-e is noisy. Okay, I feel like it might be a little bit noisy over here, but we have pretty rough tarmac. So actually this car has 195, 55, 16 inch. Yeah. So maybe other people, maybe they have 17 inch and then they experience the car to be noisy. So for me, it's not that bad. Yeah, I guess I have to do the noise test and then look at the result afterwards. And also auto steer does a pretty good job steering. See, we have green icon there, green steering wheel icon. So it's not doing some weird hugging of left or right lane, but I feel like it tends to oscillate a little bit between, yeah, it kind of jiggles a little bit left and right, the steering wheel. Yeah, and then you want to touch the steering wheel. But overall, pretty good. Okay, we're back at the starting point, and wow, the car used only 207 watt per kilometer. That's actually right on par with the it's called EC4, yeah, Citroën EC4. But man, I noticed something weird here. You see, the consumption is going down, man, because I guess it's measuring it against the battery since the start. Well, when you reset the trip meter, it takes a checkpoint of all the status, and then it just calculates the battery against that checkpoint. But since we are charging up the battery now, it seems like the consumption is lower and lower. This is something we have seen last year with the E28 and also E2008. But then recently when I tested the other cars from Stellantis, they have fixed this bug. So I wonder why this car is doing like this. Does it mean that we are running on old software on the Corsa-e? I guess we will get an indication once we are back here. Now we will charge just enough to do the low speed test, but we'll go all the way to the north to Rudshøgda and back again. We do one full lap, which is going to be, well, supposed to be 182 kilometers, just to measure distance error. And then when we come back, I guess we will check out the charger screen and see how fast we are charging, because we're supposed to get almost 100 kilowatt until 30%. Well, right now it doesn't make sense to look at it. Well, I guess we can take a look at it, but the battery might not be at optimal temperature. 75 kilowatt. Okay, we have to check it out once we're back again. Oh, you see? But there could just be low, it could be a cold battery, but it seems to throttle a little bit early. We're on the move now, so yes, in this case we have to cruise at 92 kilometers per hour to match 90 on GPS. And look at that consumption. Okay, I have to zoom in a little bit because the instrument cluster is a little bit small compared to the Mokka E, but 131 watt-hour per kilometer is pretty good. So yes, I do the conversion. It's actually it's 13 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometer, which equals to 130 watt hour per kilometer. I don't want to use 100 kilometer as a unit. We relate to kilometer as a unit. So yeah, so far so good. I have to say the auto steer also works quite great in 90 kilometers per hour. Maybe it doesn't oscillate that much now. Yeah, so right now it is 20 degrees Celsius outside. Pretty calm on Mjøsen, where we're gonna see it soon. There is some traffic, but it looks more normal now than earlier this summer. Oh, I had to change. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there is a little bit of wind here at Mjøsen today, so all right. So we still have to drive a while before we get to the end point. I just noticed there is an EQC driving behind me, and you see it has like a mustache on the bottom there, on the bumper. Once you see the mustache, then you cannot unsee it. Yeah, oh, sorry for that. I'm not paying attention to the mirror, looking at the road. Oh, yeah. But man, I have to say, yeah, the stability or the stabilizer in this camera is freaking awesome. But this is what it actually looks like from here. See? Okay, we are almost done now. So as usual, just like the other Stellantis cars, we don't see fractions here in distance, so we don't know exactly how much we have. But what I will do is I will pay attention to when it changes to 180, and then we just roughly estimate once we are at the roundabout. Yeah, that should be good enough. Okay, let's take a look at the data. So you see the table here that this car was actually more or less the same as the EC4. It seems to be slightly more efficient than the EC4, but then the EC4 had pretty hot weather. Was it too hot, or how was it? But yeah, it seems like, or it could actually be that this Corsa-e is the most efficient in the Stellantis group. I mean, it's the smallest one, right? Yeah. But okay, I also measured around 1% under-reporting distance. And when you have 1% lower distance than it really is, then that means that the consumption is also 1% lower. But okay, so again, range numbers more or less the same as the other Stellantis cars. As expected, it's the same battery. But when it comes to noise, I also done the noise test, and it turns out that this car is slightly noisier than the other ones, except for the E28, but the E28 had bigger tires, so I suspect that we had a lot of tire noise. But if you want the most quiet ride, you have to go for some of the other ones, like the E2008 or EC4 or the S3. But okay, and then the last thing I'll mention is, again, 1,000 kilometer challenge. You guys want me to do it, but it's really no point because the EC4 has more or less the same efficiency, consumption. It charges exactly the same as this one. It uses the same battery, remember? Even this car also has the 195, 55, 16 tires. EC4 had slightly bigger one, but also pretty not so low profile tires, so pretty good and narrow tires. So I would expect that the time for 1,000 kilometers challenge for this one will also be about the same as the EC4 anyway. So there is really no need to retest the same, I mean, the same battery. Not the same car, but the same battery and the same drivetrain. That's why I'm also not going to do acceleration test. Yeah. But at least now you guys have gotten the impression on what it is. I of course have other tests about interior, banana box, and also the ride and handling, the driving ASMR. Yes, you guys seem to love it. So that's gonna be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.